my name's Max. I'm the founder of Maxie's, and Maxie's is a new food brand on a mission to donate 1 million meals to those that are going hungry. And I was asked here today by HelpBnk to essentially run a webinar that was all about building the power of building community. So that's why I'm here. I haven't actually done anything like this before. I do a lot of TikToks, live streams and things like that. So it's very similar, but also very different at the same time. Big believer of pushing myself outside of my comfort zone. So I encourage all of you to do that as well. But today we're here to talk about community, not just the comfort zone side of things. I wasn't sure how I wanted to, I guess, deliver this webinar. And I did have a think about it. And I thought the best way maybe is just to share my story, as I feel that everything, or the story in its entirety, is definitely surrounded around building community, and especially the power of building community in general. So if we go back a little bit, I won't go back too far to when I was a little kid, but if we go back to even like my first food business. So my first food business was called Flavortown Foods, that I started with a couple of friends. We lived in village in rural locations, and you couldn't get the sort of food that you could get in London and stuff like that in the areas that we lived. So what we did at the time was we took over the kitchens of pubs that weren't being used for free rent, in exchange for basically bringing in more people to buy food and buy drinks in their pub. So that was like the business itself. We did it by like Just Eat and things like that. And we managed to expand that to 3 pubs within the space of a year. But the problem that we found is, I guess the issue that we found was we didn't focus on building community. It was just purely on the food side of things. So what we tried to do was expand, which was great. We moved into a new location and we realized there we were still experiencing the same issues. And the reason for that is we didn't build community first, which was a really big lesson whilst I was running that. But it wasn't actually the only reason why I left. But long story short, I ended up leaving the company after about 1.5 years. I realized that, first of all, I love cooking, but I hated cooking in a commercial kitchen. So that was my main reason. But also we were experiencing a bunch of issues at the same time, which I've learned from, which is amazing. So following on from that, I went back into full-time work. I was working as a marketing manager for a radio communications company. Really didn't enjoy the job, but it was a means to an end. And then COVID hit and I basically lost my job and I was made redundant. I had 1 month's redundancy pay. And I was just basically like, right, I'm not going back to work. I can't do that. And I just feel like it was really not meant for me. So that was when I found or come across TikTok. That was when I first started building my community, and that was when things sort of really first started to take off. So what I did from the start, or what I learned from the start, is, first of all, obviously community is a big thing, but I needed to have like some sort of purpose behind it. So it was lockdown, restaurants were closing, people were really needing to budget. So I was creating quick, easy, healthy meals that you could make at home on a budget for families. And that was sort of my main purpose, or the main route that I was going to do, to try and help people that way. So that itself, and purpose in itself, is a really good starting point if you are looking to build a community. But also, I guess the next step would be sort of, how did I incorporate like that into my content specifically? So I wasn't just creating recipes. What I was doing was actually engaging with the community every single day in the comments, and actually replying to their comments with a video recipe. So there might be a single mum in the comment that's asking, can you make a meal for a family of 4 that's got a budget of, say, around, I don't know, £10 per week to cook the dinners? Can you create like some recipes that would match that? So I would actually reply to the comment that would be pinned on the video, and then I was creating recipes that would specifically help that person, but also lots of other people that maybe didn't have the courage to comment and ask, and help them too. So that was basically my initial approach with it. And I did that every single day for the space of, well, just over a year, creating 2 to 6 videos every day, recipe videos. So yes, washing up, cooking, cleaning every single day, and as well as editing them up to 6 times a day. Because this was basically my mission, and I really didn't basically put any time, focus, or thought into anything else, even myself, which is something that we can touch on in a little bit. But long story short, fast forward, by focusing purely on the community and helping people that way, I went from 0 to 2 million followers in just over a year. Now, the one part of that, which I guess, how could I explain this? So this is a little bit of a tough one for me to try and explain, but basically at the time, I didn't have any products. This is probably the easiest way to explain it. I didn't have any products, and I didn't really know what to create, and I didn't want to do something for the sake of it. And what was so strange is I was creating up to 6 recipes for free every single day for people online on social media. It had everything they need. But in my comments, there were so many people asking me if I could do a cookbook, which was really, really strange, because I was like giving all of these recipes out for free every day, almost like you don't need a cookbook. But I feel that over that time, I'd built such a strong relationship and community that not only did they want more recipes, but they also wanted to help and support me, which I almost like couldn't believe at the time, because I hadn't thought about doing a cookbook. I thought I'd have to like get a publisher on board and it will take years and years. So in the end, I created a PDF cookbook with 30 recipes that I did over 30 days, filming the recipe, adding it to the cookbook with 2 phones, one that was actually live streaming me making the recipes that were going in the cookbook, and one actually that was filming them for the video recipe. So within the space of launching that, taking pre-orders, and 3 months' time, went from no cookbook to having a cookbook that sold over 15,000 copies in the space of 3 months. And I feel like that really, really purely is, first of all, after listening and helping the community. But I feel like if I didn't have that community in the first place, then that just wouldn't have been possible. After that, a lot of mistakes basically followed, and I don't necessarily like to call them mistakes, but I like to call them lessons, if anything, because I feel that problems are sent to us for us to solve, and whether it's to solve for ourselves or it's to solve a problem for other people, I think it's really important not to ignore them, but to just face failure head on, and do what you can to embrace it. So my idea was to essentially create a healthy lifestyle mobile app, which had everything that you needed to lead a healthy lifestyle all in one place. I ended up wasting, in the end, over like £50,000, which was pretty much all of the money that I got from the cookbook into building this mobile app, that in the end, totally nothing came off from it. And I was left with basically like no money, 2 million followers, and it felt like I'd sort of like lost my purpose a bit, and I didn't really know like what to do. And I think at the time, despite helping people, in the back of my head, I still had, right, I've got to get to 1 million followers, got to get to 2 million followers. And because it's such a crazy high amount, once you get there, it was almost like a Anticlim Map. So you hit the 2 million followers, and then it's sort of like, oh, I'd never thought I would do that. I've done it. And then what? And that actually really affected my mental health negatively over a period of a number of months. And that was when if you follow me on TikTok, you know, I stepped back from TikTok for, it was at least about 8 months or so, and was trying something else. In the end, that didn't work out either. And I came back to TikTok. And after, the reason why I'm going through all this as well is after having that eight month period or so, without posting any videos or anything like that, all it took was one video for me to post, and the whole community, it was like they were literally just there waiting for me to come back, even after it being months and months of me being away. And that, first of all, obviously made me really, really happy. And I sort of, I guess it confirmed, I guess confirm's the right word. It confirmed in my head that I really had built a strong community. And I think I was taking it for granted at the time. So I'd encourage everyone that does or has built a community, definitely not to take that for granted, as well as anything else that you are grateful for in your lives, of course. But so yeah, coming back from that made me really, really, really grateful, essentially. And also, like I said, confirmed that in my head. But then it was the point of like, what do I do next? How can we help other people as a community? And that was, I guess, the point of being at my lowest. If you see my videos on TikTok, I've been very open about my mental health this year in particular. And I was like really, really struggling, in the worst that I've been. And thanks to Simon and thanks to HelpBnk, I truly believe that your purpose is your compass. And HelpBnk and Simon have helped me basically to realize that. So I've more recently, I've combined everything that I've been doing into one purpose of essentially donating 1 million meals to those in need. And that was at the point that Maxie's was born. And since launching it, the community, I couldn't be more grateful for what the community have done in terms of supporting the Maxie's Million Meals Challenge, the GoFundMe, and just generally supporting all of the content that I've been putting out. So the reason as well why I wanted to mention that is I had to make a choice to sort of totally changed the content that I was doing, which my community was involved with and sort of typically loved, which was the recipes, to now switching it to very different stuff. So a big part of that was actually me engaging with the community, first of all. So I have a number of community members that have joined my team, and they now help me out and volunteer for free in various aspects of the business. So they've been definitely monumental in the direction of the way things have gone. But I've been engaging as much as I can on live streams on TikTok, in the comments, and really finding out what would be the best route to go and how can we as a community help as many people as possible. And once you've defined your purpose, and there's, even if it's a small community at start that's sort of behind you with that and following you and helping you on that journey, they sort of get invested in that purpose too. And they know that what they're doing, no matter how small it is helping you to achieve your bigger dream or your bigger goal in life, whatever it may be. In this case, it's me donating 1 million meals. So even the people that are just sharing a post will feel like they're helping in some, even if they can't afford to donate, they're still helping in some way, shape or form, because that post might reach someone that is in a position to donate. And I feel like that is also, well, massively fulfilling for me, but it's also fulfilling for my community and your community if you were to do something similar. In terms of my story, that's pretty much, I know I've rambled on a little bit, but that's pretty much where I'm up to now. So if anyone does have any comments or questions or anything like that, I'm going to check the chat now. I did see a few pop up whilst I was in my flow, but the way my brain works, if I stopped halfway through, I would have definitely just, it would have taken me about 10 minutes to find where I was. So now would be an awesome time, yeah, to go through the comments in the chat. And also I see there's some more people that are here that are here now than they were at the start. So new that has joined. What inspired me to start? Is this what inspired me to start most recently with Maxie's and Maxie's Million Meals? Awesome. So Maxie's Million Meals, or how could I start? Because for me, there's like a few different reasons of why I started it in my first place. If we start with the first one of, I mentioned during the, I was about to say my speech, but during my initial, whatever I was saying initially, within that, you would have heard me say that I feel that problems are sent to us for us to solve. So when I was young and growing up as a family, as a child, my mum was a single parent with 6 kids, trying to raise us all, and we were massively affected financially in general, and she really struggled to put food on the table and would often literally miss dinner just so she could put food on the table for us kids. So throughout my childhood, I was basically, in my head, there was just like so much jealousy, because it felt like I was the only one out of everyone that I knew and all of my friends who were going on like holidays and getting hundreds of pounds for their birthday and things like that. I was sort of outside of that in a way. And I had a lot of jealousy from a young age. And what I've learned as I've got older is that problem, I believe, was actually sent to me to solve. And I think that that's why I'm so passionate about Maxie's Million Meals in general and feeding people that are facing food insecurity and going hungry. So that was really an initial big drive behind it, essentially to help people that were in a position that I once was. And then as well as that, I've been going around to various food banks, speaking to homeless shelters and things like that. And it really, really, until you actually go out there and do it, you don't realize how big the problem actually is. And it was after doing that, it just flicked in my head, like, I have to do something about this. So that was where we are. With the Maxie's, the Mad Max challenge, that's a challenge that I've set to essentially, number one, help me with my own mental health and push past my physical and mental barriers. But as well as that, it's essentially a way that we're using to help raise funds for Maxie's Million Meals. So I complete all of these grueling challenges, like 1,000 squats in a day, 1,000 bench press, 2,000 push-ups, stuff like that, to push myself, but also to help raise money. And that's sort of the reasons behind the things that I'm doing at the moment. What would I say to people who are hesitant to start? So I would say, first of all, be self-aware, like what is it you're actually hesitant about? Some people, it might be they're really confident, but they're just lacking financially and don't know whether to make the jump. Others may be great financially, have all these ideas, but they might want to do a TikTok, but they physically can't bring themselves to do a face to camera video, which was the barrier that I had to get over. So yeah, is there anything in particular on that one? How did I grow my community? So it all started off, like everyone does, with 0 followers. And the first thing that I wanted to do was basically work out how can I help people, but relate it to things that I love and I enjoy. So automatically by helping people, that's going to be, how can I explain it? It sort of adds purpose to what you're doing. But what I did was basically create healthy meals that were cost effective and delicious at the same time for people that were obviously struggling during COVID, because this was just after COVID had hit. So I realized that I love cooking. I then identified a problem. People are struggling financially. Restaurants and everything are closing and things like that. So my solution to that was creating these meals. And then after that, it comes consistency and then building upon the small bit of community that you have. So at the start, there might have been 1 or 2 people who were commenting on my posts. I still replied to their comment or suggestion asking, with the recipe for whatever the question was they asked. So if they asked for like a meal for a family of 4 that cost no more than like £4 or something, I would make sure that I was still, even if it was 1 or 2 people, replying to every single comment, DM, and everything I possibly could. So mobile app side of things, we're not looking to do like a mobile app just yet. That's not quite the route that we're going down. This is a national objective. So we started the meal kits themselves within about the last roughly 3 to 4 weeks. The first week we donated 40 meals. The second week it was 500 meals. And this week we're donating over 1,000 meals. Currently it's a local food bank. And the idea is to scale this up to cover nationwide. You have a hard niche trying to teach people about? Well, in that case, there's probably not that many people doing it. So there's a lot less competition for you. So there could be a positive within that itself. Feel free to DM me after this as well if you want like any specific help with setting it up, or even if you want me to like share a post on TikTok, anything like that, more than happy to help. How do I handle demotivation and burnout? That's actually a really, really good question. For me, and I think a lot of people that really do have a defined, clear purpose, the purpose is enough literally to motivate me. I get extra motivation when I'm going to these food banks and these homeless shelters and things, and I see people struggling. But the purpose itself is basically what gives me motivation each day. As an example, I really, really did not want to do 2,000 push-ups in a day. I'd never done anywhere close to that. And I didn't even know how to like train for it. So I didn't even like train for it on the day. But I think for me, if I was to wake up in the morning and I was saying, as an example, right, I need to work out today and do this really hard workout so that in 2 weeks' time, I physically look better. Or if I was waking up and saying, right, I need to do this workout today because it could raise £1,000, which could then feed 1,000 people that are currently going hungry. So for me, I know what would motivate me more. And for me, obviously, it's that purpose of helping people. And now I've been able to incorporate that purpose into everything that I'm doing. So knowing that whether it's a recipe video that I'm creating that's budget friendly and going to help a family save some money, or whether it's someone that's literally going hungry at the moment and I need to raise this money to help them, that for me is my purpose and that is my motivation. So when it comes to burnout, I feel like almost I don't really get a burnout. And if I do, then I just take some time. Like, you got to listen to your body. Some people wouldn't be able to do it 7 days a week, absolutely flat out, and you absolutely don't need to. And not everybody needs to aim to help millions of people, and some may find it extra hard to do that. But what if everybody could just help 1 or 2 people and then build upon that and then see where it goes? So definitely starts like that's why, as an example, I'm just currently helping 1 food bank out of hundreds and hundreds and well, probably thousands of food banks in the UK. Which means we've got like a really, really, really long way to go. But by starting small, starting local and helping people, eventually I feel like it will start to, I guess, create waves that would lead on to other things. So something that concerns me a great deal is the rise in orthoretic and physical. So I'm not too sure on that specifically. I don't know exactly what that is. must say I'm not great with long words. But if you could maybe explain it slightly differently, I can try and help. Sorry about that. I'll read it again as well, just in case. So how do I guess the last part of how do I encourage followers to manage emotions themselves, I could maybe answer. But I really do feel like something like that is really a personal thing and everyone would manage it differently. But what I could maybe say is the key things that have helped me, because with every single business that I've done to date, I like 100% of the focus has been on helping other people, and like none of the focus was on helping myself. And I realized that if I'm not like helping myself, then how don't want to swear because it's recorded, how am I going to help other people? So what I've done more recently is really put a focus on myself physically. That's why I'm doing these challenges. Not only do the challenges help raise money, but they allow me to push through mental and physical barriers. They make me feel better in general. I'm fitter, healthier, and likewise by focusing on the diet, that also helps with that too. So now that I've been able to get outside in nature more, exercise a lot more, eat better, help people, and have like a clear purpose, I thought all of those things combined would help. Well, they massively help me, but I would struggle to see how they wouldn't be able to help other people. So yeah, that's basically what I've been doing. If I was to donate meals to a breakfast club or something in schools, would you have to go through a food bank? So oh, there goes my dog. Sorry about that. We're okay, I think. So yes, so that would actually be through the food banks. I'm really sorry about the dog. There's probably going to be someone coming to the door with a parcel, I imagine. That's all done through the food banks. So if you see some of my recent posts, you'll see all of the Maxi meal kits that are stacked up. They go to the food bank, and then the food banks distribute them to the families and local schools. So last week they dropped off like 40 odd of the boxes to a local school. It was like a small infant school, but that'll feed 117 children and about 40 families. So yeah, getting it to the food bank, they would then help in distributing it. And then if you were to take food to like your local supermarkets and things like that, they typically have the donation boxes that they take to the food bank, if that makes sense. Oh, I see what you mean. That totally makes sense. I think it's definitely all about moderation. So I don't purely and only eat healthy things. For me, it's very much about more having it, eating mostly good stuff, but still enjoying treats and things like that too. So not all of my recipes are necessarily healthy. Not all of the things that I personally eat are necessarily healthy. I think balance and moderation are really important. And I do see what you mean. There is a lot of it online that does steer towards like the excessive side of that, but I try to sort of stay within the moderation and balance side of it. The challenges themselves obviously like really hard, but that's just a personal thing that I wanted to like push through, because obviously I'm a bit crazy or something like that to want to do them. But what I have done, like with the exercises as an example, is people who have like registered their email, they get an email with each challenge with a scaled down version. So say if it was a marathon, you would have the option to do a half marathon or a quarter marathon or an eighth of that as an example. So yeah, I hope that makes sense. Sorry, I'm just reading through, I think it's Emma's comment. I forgot to say that. I was just like staring at the screen. Everyone's probably like, why is he staring at me? I'm just reading the comments, sorry. So if you, oh, there's Bella again. If you want to build, oh, that was the door. Typical. Right, I'll be 2 seconds. I feel like that was actually good timing. So let me just there we go. So I think that was good timing because that actually just reminded me about something. What that was a whole bunch of Amazon boxes. So as well as donating the meals, I've also got Amazon Wishlist that the community can purchase stuff from, whether it's for the care packages, which has like sleeping bags and toiletries and things like that, or for the children's snack packs, which is more like sweets and treats and things for the young children that are missing out. That was another thing, or another way that the community have basically been on board and helping. So as well as the meal kits, they can actually donate food directly, and then I take it all to the food bank. So that one doesn't have, someone said about if you don't have a specific number and things like that. So that way with the Amazon wish list, it's not like we're trying to do 1 million meals via the wish list. That's more as in anyone can like donate what they can and when they can. And that would be an actual product rather than a fund goal, if that makes sense. So there are other ways that you could do it rather than it specifically just being funds raised via a GoFundMe. It could be products themselves. Thank you, Jennifer. I hope you have a good rest of your day as well. Thank you for joining. Yeah, absolutely. Everything is healthy in moderation. As an example, if I was to have 50 fizzy drinks that weren't necessarily healthy in a day, that's really not going to be good for me. But if I was just to literally have one of them, that's really, really not going to make like any difference to your health and things like that. But absolutely, moderation is key. Too much of anything isn't going to be good for you. Does anyone else have any questions at all? And no problem, Emma, you're welcome. So Jack Bayman would like to maybe arrange a call, as would like to get behind this. We have a campaign we're running which could use the money to put into this, would maybe need a bit of broken down step. Yeah, absolutely, no problem. If you could just send an email to Max, well, actually on the website, it's got all of the contact info and stuff like that. I think there was a link HelpBnk shared in the chat to my link tree. So yeah, feel free to just contact via that way, but that would be amazing. I really appreciate that. Thank you, Jack. Would I consider doing a similar campaign for vulnerable older people? So it's not actually just sticking with children, MC, so it's actually covering people that are in need in general. So the food bank that I donate stuff to at the moment, which is West Berks Food Bank, they don't purely just help children. So some of the meal kits are going to the schools, some of them will be collected or dropped off, like you say, to elderly people. Some of them will just go like directly to families locally. So there are some food banks that will specifically have a target audience of who they're helping, but the one that I go to, it is a mixture. And likewise, that's why I'm doing the food bank, but also the homeless shelter as well. So Newbury Soup Kitchen was set up like 6 years ago, and I've been building a relationship with the owner of that. She's absolutely awesome. So we're going to be helping them a lot going forwards too. And obviously the homeless range is all different ages and things like that too. So it's definitely not just limited to children. I think I just accidentally raised my own hand trying to click on the chat then. Yes, this is recorded, so you will be able to come back to it later. I see that Shayran just said that she joined late. From what I believe HelpBnk have recorded this, and it should be available on their YouTube channel. But HelpBnk can just confirm that in the chat as well. Awesome. There we go. So yeah, don't worry if you've joined late, but whilst you're here, I am still here and available. So if you've got any questions about anything, feel free to ask. Oh, thank you so much, MC. That's super kind of you. I appreciate that. Where am I based? So I live about an hour away from London. I don't know. if you know, well, the closest places you know or towns would be Reading or Basingstoke. Do you know Reading or Basingstoke? Yes, awesome. So I sort of live in I basically like live in the middle of, there's like Newbury, Reading and Basingstoke. So I just basically live in the middle of all of those, but in a smaller village. Well, I say it's a village. Technically it's a town, but it must be like the smallest possible town ever. But it's basically a village. Hey, thank you so much, Michaela. I appreciate that. You're awesome. I'm not sure what you do or like what you're working on at all, but if you do have anything in particular, like from what I've said that you did want to help with, then feel free to like just message me on any of the social medias or email or via the website. Amazing presentation and keep going. Thank you. Well, it was my first time doing this. Obviously, I do loads of TikTok lives, which is another thing as well. If you are able and feel confident enough to do it, I would definitely recommend getting live on TikTok, on Instagram, whatever platform it may be, because that is a really, really, well, I'd say probably like the best way to interact directly with your community. So if you've been on the fence about going live and things like that, what I would say is it is never as bad as you think it is before you do it. You'll think of every scenario that could sort of go wrong whilst you're doing it, and then you actually do it and you realize, oh, that wasn't actually that bad. And then you can do it again. And then next time, just focus on a little something that you could improve. Likewise with your content. So say if you're posting like, I don't know, if you post 100 videos, imagine if each one of those, you just focused on improving one tiny little thing just to make it a little bit better the next time. By the time you got through those, you'll probably find yourself 100 times more confident in your content, 100 times better. Thank you, Shayra. I appreciate that. But like we said earlier, it'll be available again on YouTube, so feel free to watch the whole thing again there. You're welcome. Cool. So is that everything? Does anyone have any other last questions? If not, I'm available pretty much. I'm very busy, but you'll notice I try and reply to every single comment and DM the best that I can, even if I'm a little bit late. So yeah, feel free to DM me or just email me any questions that you have. And obviously, if you do have any questions relating not necessarily to the community side of things, but whether it's marketing or funding or anything else with your business, HelpBnk is the place to go because there's lots of help on there available for free. So yeah, I hope everyone has a lovely rest of your day. If you do have any questions community-wise, I'm always available. Take care